Well, is this president doing enough? I mean, you've made comments fairly recently that this president could perhaps use a primary challenge to move him in the right direction from what you said.
Well, I have said that, and I stand by that. But I also want to say that when the president's trying to create jobs, we certainly should support that effort. The scale of job creation that's needed in order to bring unemployment down to a point where the country's not in critical condition economically. The scale has to be much larger. We need a scale of a new deal that would put millions back to work. Now, some in the administration will say that the American Recovery Act helped. It did help. We helped put teachers back to work, very important. Help subsidize budgets, in effect, of other governments for police and fire. That's very important. The big argument, money coming from, that goes back to my proposal. Why should the government have to borrow money from banks to keep our economy moving? If the banks are giving us a hard time, if the real question becomes, who's running America? Are the banks running America, where they can choke off credit to Main Street, where they can engage in mergers and acquisitions, where the central bank can send money, $1.2 trillion, including money overseas, where last week they put more money for foreign banks? How about taking care of this country? Let the government be in a business of creating the jobs that the private sector isn't. And the government, as it primes the pump of the economy, helps bring the private sector back. So we're not doing enough right now. And I think
well, is the president moving in the right direction? We got a tweet here from Dr. D. UNC 1220, who asks, why are Dems wimps now in comparison to 1968 when they were willing to run against a Democratic president who was a warmonger like Obama? Are Democrats wimps right now? Do you have an idea of who should run against the president in a primary?
Well, from my perspective, I can maintain honest policy difference with the President of the United States, but it doesn't require that I run against him. I think that it's important to challenge the President's policies, to help suggest a direction that would help restore our cities, would put people back to work, would protect our basic industries. Unfortunately, the administration's been promoting these trade agreements that move more jobs out of the country. We have to stop the direction that we're going in, which is the wrong economic direction. And I think does the president have the capacity to do it? Of course he does. Whether or not his economic advisors, who are famously in some kind of debate all the time about which way to go, will give him the best set of options is another question.
Well, let's put it bluntly. Would you agree with this headline in Politico from Monday after the president's speech, Obama and the left back in sync?
I don't know what that means. I mean, this is, I tell you, as someone who has a commitment to public service, these labels really don't mean much. Liberal, conservative. Tell me what you stand for. I want to see what the president is doing. The idea of being back in sync, I don't know. I mean, I want to see the results. That's all. Get people back to work. Make sure our basic industries are protected. End these wars which sap the ability of the country to be able to meet its needs. Think of all the money we've spent on war. There are some people who say, well, they're opposed to the war, but we're spending money on the wars in the meantime. If we stop spending the money on the wars and redirect it to our domestic economy, we wouldn't be in this mess that we're in. So I want to see, let's take care of things here. Let's bring our troops back, not just from the wars. Let's these bases all over the world. Look, we should be invoicing those countries for our military being there. And getting the money and being in a position of strengthening our economy. America should not be in the difficulty it's in today. It's just the policies have been wrong, and it's been wrong with both parties, frankly. And we need a shift away from the status quo on monetary policy, on trade policy, on defense or wars, on energy, job creation. America still can do, but we have to take a different direction to do it.
Again, we're talking with Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich. You can follow him on Twitter at Rep Kucinich. Going back to the phones on the Republican line, Watson is from Vidalia, Georgia. Good morning, Watson. Watson, you there?
Hello. Hello, Vidalia. Great onions.
We'll go to the independent line. Don is an independent. Good morning, Don. You're from Greenville, Ohio, correct?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question for the congressman?
I have a question on Social Security and a couple other things. And good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. How's things in Greenville?
Oh, pretty good.
Good.
Why do they keep really attacking Social Security when it's really not in trouble, and they just keep throwing it out there that it's in trouble and it's in trouble and it's in trouble, and it's probably can go on for. And if everybody got to work, there wouldn't be any problem. And in that line, why are we giving breaks to people working, which takes money out of Social Security? And another thing, I was talking about being president, and also there is millions of dollars spent to run for president, and since you people work for us, I have an idea that if everybody had so much money to spend to run for president, in other words, we give so much money that you can run for president, and that's all you get, it would take out the corporations that are involved, it would take out the millionaires and billionaires, and everybody would be treated the same.
Well, a lot of questions there.
I wrote notes. There's three questions. First, Social Security. You're right. Social Security is rock solid for many years to come. And all the talk about trying to break public confidence in Social Security, I think is really aimed at trying to open the door for Wall Street to be able to gain access to Social Security's assets, privatize Social Security, turn it into a private pension plan, and that would essentially deprive the Americans who are in that system of the full benefits which they have a right to expect from a lifetime of work. Now, secondly, you raised a point about the fact that one of the tax breaks that comes in is actually that so money isn't paid into the Social Security trust fund. You're right, that's a problem. I mean, that's not a good choice in order to prime the pump of the economy that it could have an adverse effect long-term on Social Security's finances. The third thing you talked about was how we finance presidential elections, and for that matter, federal elections. Look, right now, our country is like an auction, and offices often go to the highest bidder. If you have public financing of elections, as you suggest, you have public control over the political process. If you have private financing of elections, you have private control of the political process. When the founders constructed this country, I don't think they could have imagined the kind of wealth that would try to be intervening in between the people and their government. And today, we have to rescue our government by having exactly the kind of system that you're suggesting. This is one of the reasons why the C-SPAN program is so great, because the people have an idea of what's going on right now. They know the corporations are running the government, and they know that corporate money rules. The Citizens United case was just an example of how far away we've gotten from our mission, where corporations actually have more power than the average voter because they can use their money to influence the outcome of elections.
Well, I want to ask you about the idea of priming